If you're looking at what I'm driving at the moment and you're thinking that it looks a little bit like a Volvo, you'd be right, because this is the all-new Volvo EX90. It's a particularly important car for the brand in Australia. It is our first taste of it, so first drive of it. Yes, I'm already sitting in the driver's seat. We are shooting all this video ourselves. We don't have our usual camera crew or any camera crew at all to help us out. It's going to be a little bit rough and ready and behind the scenes, so stick with us. The all-new Volvo EX90, first Australian drive. We don't have launch pricing for the new EX90 in Australia, but we will know the price closer to its local launch. The twin motor will be the most affordable EX90, and it runs motors front and rear for all-wheel drive and makes 300 kilowatts and 770 newton meters. There's a 400-volt electrical system, and the EX90 is capable of charging up to 250 kilowatts. That means you can charge from 10 to 80% in as little as 30 minutes. Outside, the EX90 is typically Volvo. That is, it's big, bold, boxy and interesting. It's certainly not a boring-looking SUV, which is an important element in terms of standing out from the large luxury SUV crowd. It's fair to say this segment can be a little derivative in terms of design, but the Volvo certainly isn't cut from that cloth. Does it look too much like an XC90? We've seen some of that commentary online, but I certainly don't think that's a bad thing. And we also love that it doesn't scream that it's an electric vehicle. There's usable space across all three rows, although the third row is tight for taller adults, as expected. Storage space is 377 litres with that third row in use, and a whopping 822 litres with only the first two rows in use. Fold all the seats down though, and you get 1,945 litres of storage. First up, let's take a look at the cabin. This is obviously a large three-row SUV. I like the fact that Volvo hasn't deviated too far from the XC90 strategy. Very successful vehicle in Australia, widely loved among Volvo fans and large SUV buyers in general. People I know who own an XC90, when it comes to upgrading or buying a new vehicle, they often go and buy another XC90 because they really love the experience they've had. This looks and feels like a Volvo from all three rows. Working from the back to the front, third row, not really for adults, no surprise there. You can fit, if you're about my height, 6 foot to 6'1". You wouldn't want to spend a 1,000k road trip back there because it's pretty tight. Second row is excellent, seat bases slide, plenty of room, headroom, shoulder room, leg and knee room's really good as well. I think the second row is really, really useful for family buyers. And then of course, up here in the front, lovely place to be. And things like massage functions for the front two seats, really, really luxurious, comfortable. It's a well put together car. And it's one of those vehicles that we've spent a couple of hours in it today. If you're out driving on a longer road trip, you're going to love spending time in the cabin because it's particularly comfortable. The other thing too, which comes out when you spend a bit of time behind the wheel, is how quiet it is, very insulated. Volvo did tell us at the start of this launch that one of the things they were focusing on was interior ergonomics and interior comfort, insulation. I think they've really delivered on that. This is very quiet. Even on the highway, when you get onto noisier, coarse chip sections, it stays very quiet. Important for longer road trips. How does it drive? Well, there's a couple of things to note here before we get to the actual driving. I said in the presentation to some of the Volvo engineers, there is a level of complexity in here in the operating systems that's going to take you a little while to get used to. I don't necessarily think that taking a leaf out of Tesla's book, where just about everything is controlled through this huge screen, is the only way to do it. It's a way to do it, and some people love it. But what it means is there's a hell of a lot of functionality that you have to access via that screen. Not all of it is easy to do while you're on the move. Some of it is, but things like changing the temperature on the air conditioning or the fan setting, you actually need to look at the screen to work out what you're doing and what you're controlling. It's not to say that it's a negative as such. I just think it's a factor to note so that if you're buying one of these, you understand that you need to get a bit of time and familiarize yourself with the controls and the functionality. On the other side of the equation, the steering wheel controls and the little display in front of the driver, really simple, shows you what you want to see and what you want to have access to. It's clear, easy to understand, so I think that works really well. In terms of the driving, It's impressive, surprise, surprise, seriously powerful vehicle. It is big, it is heavy, so it probably doesn't feel quite as fast as it actually is, or as you might expect it to be. But then, as we frequently find ourselves saying at Drive, as you know, let's stop focusing on how fast electric cars are, because they're all quick, and let's start focusing on all of the other things they do well, which is a really relevant point for this new EX90, because it drives well. The single pedal feel is really intuitive. It's pretty easy to use. We found ourselves getting used to it after 5 or 10 minutes behind the wheel. The ride is excellent. It's quiet, like I said before, but the ride comfort is really, really good. And you can see some of that detail in our spec story, but the ride insulation quality, the ability of this to iron out bumps and nasty road surfaces is genuinely impressive. So in as much as you would buy this, use it around town largely as a family SUV, but you might also end up on bumpy B roads if you're out on a road trip, you're going to find the EX90 particularly comfortable. I think that's a really important thing for buyers. So the new Volvo EX90 promises to be a good vehicle. I'll tell you what's crucial though for the market in Australia. We don't yet know the retail price. We're guessing around $130,000. So why don't you let us know in the comment section below what sort of money would this need to be for you to have a look at it, because I think that's going to be crucial in appealing to Australian buyers. In the meantime, don't forget to hit like if you've enjoyed the video. Click on subscribe so you stay up to date with all of our latest content. And the quick drive, the first drive, the new Volvo EX90, that's over at Drive.com.au.